When we're using attribute bindings, classes are a special case because we can pass additional data so they can determine when to apply certain classes. To see this in action, let's add a strikeout to our shopping list items as we purchase them. To start, we'll need to refactor our items from a simple array to an array of objects so we can keep track of their purchase state. Since we changed how our array is set up, we'll need to update our saveItem method and how our template is rendering the items. Nice! Now we can add our dynamic classes. Vue has two ways for adding dynamic classes: array and object syntax. The object syntax is the simpler, more concise way to add a dynamic class. Here, our object property is the name of the class we'd like to toggle from our main.css file, and its value is the conditional we respond to. Looking at our browser, we can see that the item with their purchase property set to true has a strikeout, while the others don't. Pretty incredible, right? If we take a moment to inspect the item, we can see that the class is getting toggled in the DOM. We can also do the exact same thing with the array syntax as well. Removing the object from our class binding, we can add in the array syntax. As you can see, it's a bit more verbose. However, it does offer us some more flexibility for toggling between different classes. Now that we've seen how both of these work, let's look at some of the other features they provide. First off, it's possible to toggle multiple classes with both syntaxes. If we added a priority property to our items and initialize some as true and others as false, we can see that our class bindings can keep track of both conditionals. If we just want to have some regular classes on an element and dynamic classes, we can achieve that in two ways. For the first way, we could just use a regular class attribute for the classes that aren't dynamic. The other way is to just pass a string to our bound classes. As you can see, both the object and array syntax provide us with a lot of flexibility when adding dynamic classes. Choosing to use one or the other in your class bindings is up to you. I found that if I need a little more control in the template, then I reach for the array syntax. And I'll reach for the object if I'm using simpler conditionals in order to keep the template cleaner. For this project, we'll use the object syntax to keep everything simpler. With our dynamic strikeout set up, let's add a method to toggle it on each item. We'll start by adding a new method to our methods object called toggledPurchased. In the function, we can pass through the item itself and update the purchase property directly. Because of Vue's reactivity, we can update the pass-through item directly. With the method taken care of, we can go ahead and add it to each li with a von directive. Bada bing bada boom! Clicking on our shopping list items toggles their strikeout classes. Now we're keeping track of our purchased items.